Hello and welcome to Red Team Radio, a Dev by Daylight podcast. I am one of your hosts, Maddie, and I am joined by my wonderful co-hosts, Stevie and Bryson. Hello, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing pretty good. How about you two?
Good. I survived a winter storm over the weekend. Kind
Same
of
here.
crazy. Made my first week of work really weird, but we're moving through it.
No, same here. Work was weird. If you worked this weekend, it was weird.
Yeah.
Just being either
bizarre.
snowed in at work or having to get to work while it was snowed in or not being able to work. That was the story for everyone this weekend.
Gonna be me though, unemployed and at school. So,
But like, what happened? Were you like snowed in at school? You couldn't
Yeah, I
leave
couldn't
the
get to
building,
school.
right?
because like one of my professors was like, I'm just switching it to Zoom like the day before, and then everyone was like, you don't have to show up, but you do get a cookie. And I was like really tempted to go get that cookie.
Oh,
And I remembered there was that weather, so I was like, you know what, fuck that. I'm staying
We
home.
couldn't get the
Like,
teachers
Yeah.
into the building, but we got a box of cookies into the door. And that's
Exactly.
it's probably
the
best
best.
no one traveled, as long as you shouldn't have been traveling if you didn't have to travel.
No,
But
exactly.
Correct.
it sucks that workplaces were like, hey, we still need you. Like,
No.
just shut the place down. But like some places can't, like a hotel. So
Yeah.
My workplace was lucky, like a hotel where they didn't need to worry about if I was coming in or not if they said, hey, do you want a room? So
Yeah,
I'm not going to
yeah.
call
Yeah.
out during a snowstorm if I can sleep at work. And
Jelly.
doing that with a bunch of coworkers is also weird. It feels weird living
It's
at
like
work.
Oh,
rooming.
yeah.
I'm
It's like
telling you,
campus rooming.
living at work is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on from living at work to episode
Yes,
31 of Red Stain Radio, where we're going to be breaking down how the community voted chapter is shaping up to be and our thoughts on the latest Grimoire votes. Because if you don't know, I'm a big lore whore, and this one is pretty lore important in a lot of things, but we're kind of shaping what this wants to be, and that includes the lore. So this is kind of my bread and butter. My lives are like this, coming into all the decisions for the Grimoire. So I'm really happy to talk about what we got, what we could have got, and what we will get. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, before we dive into that, there's a little bit of housekeeping. So a big update for our listeners who have been like, in reference to our little survey, who were like, oh, I don't really want to do it. It's not that much. It's whatever. Well, we got big news for you because our little giveaway is not so little anymore. From now until the end of this month, we're giving away a $100 gift card to the gaming platform of your choice. Yeah, you heard that. $100. The way you can enter this is by clicking the jot form link in the description of this episode and filling out the satisfaction survey. We want to hear directly from you guys what we can improve on, what you love, what you don't really love. And you have until January 31st again to submit the survey and enter in the giveaway, where we'll randomly choose one person to win this $100 gaming gift card of their choice. We'll announce this winner in the first week of February, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Please enter, because not only is this a great way to give back to the community, it's also a great way for us to learn and just interact with our fans, listeners, viewers, and co. So please do it.
Yes.
You could have
And
$100 more. Please.
And
100 is a
if-
big number. Come on.
It
Yes.
is. Yeah, I guess I decided that 30 just wasn't enough, and so hopefully that entices those of you who haven't listened or haven't filled it out yet. If you've already submitted your form, you don't have to resubmit. You are still included in that gift card, so don't worry about having to refill it out.
Nope, the stakes are up, so please enter. Love you. Now, that is all the housekeeping, besides, the new Stranger Things chapter coming out today of recording.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about that because we're going to be talking about that next episode with some friends.
And I think
Ooh,
our
we are.
impressions are a little too fresh. We know what we felt
Yes.
from the PTB, but that's not
Mhm.
what's live, and it'll take a minute to get used to
I
it.
have some thoughts. But we're going to save that for next week. So stay tuned, listeners. Now, let's get into Zoom. Let's get into the topic of the show, which is going to be looking at the Grimoire and what we have so far. So, ladies, who knows what the Grimoire is? Show of hands. Raise your hand if you know what the Grimoire is.
Ooh. I do.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with Stevie because I like them more. I'm kidding.
totally understandable.
I'm
The
kidding. I'm
Grimoire
kidding.
is
I'm kidding.
just the community voting process, Maddie. That they have. Okay, we're doing an
Sorry,
ad read.
Bryson. You
I
have
guess
been
this is an ad read.
cut off.
Oh, good. Oh,
I don't
good.
want to do the ad read anymore. But the Grimoire, it's the method that players have been voting for the aspects and the details of the new killer and survivor for the community voted chapter. I think they announced it last year during the anniversary. Or
Correct.
Yes.
That
yeah,
PAX
so it'd be the
East.
9th anniversary. They announced it would be coming for the 10th anniversary, or at least they'd start working
will
on
be
it
in-
after the 10th anniversary.
Mhm.
It will release in the 10-year
The year
roadmap,
10,
if
that's
that
right.
makes- So from June 2026 to June 2027, it will release
No
within
way
that
it's coming out by the anniversary.
Yeah, no. If I
No,
had to make a rough assumption, it will probably come out in September to December in that time slot, kind of around where the Hellmaster released 2 years ago. That is my roughest estimate, just because it takes about 9 months to a year to develop a full chapter, as they said. And if they started this at the beginning, the last anniversary, like a little bit after, that's kind of where I'm assuming. Maybe in 2027 January as well, but we'll have to wait and see.
I think 2027 March. I think it's going to
March?
be late.
Oh, you think it'll be a late
I
one?
think it'll still be year 10. Like how next year, a year from now, will still be year 10. I think
Yeah.
it'll be like March, though. It'll be like cutting it real close for the deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we know this chapter will be one of the 3 or 4 full chapters of year 10. So
Mhm.
presumably we'll have one other original or paragraph chapter original, and then 2 or 3 licensed chapters, depending on the
Yeah.
size, of course.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see though, because I think for this year, technically this year, we only have one original chapter so far, which is the Pursue, and the other two have been
Yeah.
licensed. So who knows? It could be all licensed, and our anniversary chapter that we're making is completely
True.
But
That's true.
We do have the March paragraph with the
we do
Survivor.
with a Survivor,
Definitely
Killer
original.
Rework, which is probably Trickster, and then the map.
Yep.
Mhm.
This
Yes.
is true. This is true.
Yeah, true. Let's move on to the Grimoire itself, as Stevie so wonderfully explained. Now we know what the Grimoire
I
is.
terribly explained it.
No, you did amazing.
You did great. You did
Don't
great.
do this to
If
yourself.
there's not much to it, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking
Grimoire.
about we're gonna be talking about the past votes of the Grimoire, aka what has already been voted on and what the winners were. And we're just gonna kind of go over what could have been, what we have, and what we think it's gonna be. So let's start with phase 1. So this was around December, roughly November, December. Our first verse, quote unquote, aka the first round of voting, is what was home, where do you come from, and what shape do you see staring back at you? So this is kind of the vibe of who was our survivor going to be and where our killer it was going to be. And we decided that the survivor was going to be from a collapsed world and the killer was going to be otherworldly. We also had some other options, like the killer had a chimera option, psycho killer option, and for survivor we had like, oh gosh, I don't even remember them all, but I'm pretty sure we had
There was like uninspired world, like normal world, like some boring options.
normal world.
Ordinary world, collapsed
Yes.
world,
Yeah, ordinary.
arcane world, touched world.
Yes.
Mm.
And what we got was
Yeah.
we got the collapsed world for survivor and the otherworldly killer world. Blah. Any thoughts on this? Or is it just kind of like, meh, that's fine, move on?
I think these
This-
are easily the leading, most interesting choices.
Big
By
time.
far.
Big time.
To me, though.
Everything's stemming from these like seedling ideas.
Yeah, because
Any-
these
any
early,
of the
this
options.
phase 1 is all conceptual. Like,
Big time.
Yeah.
and we're
Big
starting
time.
to get in with the most recent phase. We're starting to get into like the much more nitty gritty.
Yeah.
But it's very cool to see it stem from these votes.
Yeah, so that's what we have so far. Very interesting, very, very, like Steve said, a seedling of what it was, which leads us to verse 2, the next round of voting. What kind of life did you lead? How would you describe the force taking over you? And now we're starting to get an understanding of like, oh, who is the killer? Who's the survivor? Mainly, this is kind of when the idea that kind of started as like a fan idea that kind of got incorporated into DLC is that the survivor's world, the collapse world, was caused by the killer. Like, I don't think we ever actually voted on that. So that was
Yeah.
kind of fun to just kind of have that happen. Like, oh, they're from a post-apocalyptic world. It's because of the killer. Like, we just kind of did that, and the devs were like, yeah, that's awesome. We're doing that. So that's kind of when this started happening. So the options that won in this category was a life of suffering for the survivor, because we love when our survivors are sad boys, sad girls, sad days. Very
Yeah,
sad.
they got to go
And,
through hell.
and for the killer, we got divine. I remember one of the options was like Cthulhu-esque or something like that. Like not otherworldly, like the last one. It was like cosmic, I believe, cosmic horror.
Yeah, cosmic.
And that was a very close one, but the divine one won because everyone was like angel killer, angel killer, angel killer, and now we have an angel killer. Well,
Yeah, I mean,
going to
it's so like divine is just we don't have anything in DbD.
Yeah.
Doesn't. Like we have otherworldly characters and creatures, Dredge and Unknown kind of being hallmarks of those, but yeah,
Mhm.
divine is just a whole unexplored kind of theme within DbD, and so a lot of people gravitated towards that.
Yeah, they were like, I want that. Give it to me.
And I
now.
think this moment is like kind of, you see otherworldly is you either have the other planes, or it's
Mhm.
like phase and like the divine planes, and then otherworldly is in like literal, like extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
like that. That's when they took that. They're like, how do we narrow this down? Like, what are we
Yeah.
thinking when we think otherworldly?
Yes.
And that's
I
what we
will
wanted.
say, when we got the Life of Suffering for Survivor around this time, I was expecting like straight up trauma, and I'm not gonna spoil it in the future, but I was not disappointed. I was not disappointed. We'll be getting to that at the end. Ooh. Moving on for the third round of voting, aka Phase 1, there's 3, because it's kind of named after like Holy Scripture, like verses, how do you try to escape this creature for Survivor? And what was your reputation among the unworthy souls? So for the Survivor, we got a life of endless mysteries. And for the killer, we got wielder of exalted truths. Now, I'm just going to say this really quickly. For the Survivor, I was really sad because I wanted them to be either the divine investigator or was like cursed or something. I thought that was so cool. And when we got this, I was like, that's cool, but I wish it was this. And that shows one of the things I really like about the voting. Sometimes you think something's going to win and then it doesn't. And sometimes you think somebody isn't going to win and then it does.
The investigator is a really cool. I guess even then you could even further weave these two characters together as well further. But we're not really sure what the lore is going to look like yet. But we might know down the line. But yeah, there was some really cool ones. I guess a lot of people maybe thought endless mysteries, like, we want to keep it vague, maybe keep it a gray area for, I don't know, cool points or whatnot. But I guess investigator maybe is too similar to what we already have in the game with other characters. Like we have a lot of cops, we have a lot of investigators in games, so maybe they just kind of wanted to take it a different direction. I don't remember what I voted for this one, but Life of Endless Mysteries is really cool too.
Stevie,
I wanted to mention that the Life of Endless Mysteries was the second place option from the previous one. It's the voting switch tracks from following the Life of Suffering to the Life of Endless Mysteries, even after it was voted differently. But that was because what they did was they'd kept around the second place every round of voting from the previous one to kind of give it a second chance. Like, did y'all really not want this one, or was there kind of just like a fluke in the voting? They kind of wanted to double check, and I think people kind of got lost in that, where they're like, where's that thing I voted for? It changed up on me.
I will say I was so sad at the beginning when we didn't get Chimera, because it listed one of them could be werewolf, and I've always wanted a werewolf killer because I wanted Frankenstein, which we kind of have, vampire, which we have Dracula, of course, and a werewolf. I want the classics, and we're missing the werewolf. We're missing one of the 3.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but I'm happy with the angel. I love angels. I love like divine themed stuff. Like if you give me an angel themed battle pass that isn't reverence, I fuck that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point.
Talk about
Instead of the
reverence.
last pass.
Like I had good cosmetics, but oh my god, it was
they were terrible.
Too many recolors.
I'm glad it was over.
In terms of the werewolf, I think knowing behavior, they're going to do it. They'll put a werewolf in the game, but it will be a
100%.
licensed werewolf. It will be, because they did it with a vampire, they did it with an alien, they did it with they'll probably do it with a mummy. Shockingly, they didn't do it with a pirate. They did Hellmaster, but I think they're very much going to do that. I don't know what licensed werewolf. There's no iconic licensed werewolf off the top of my head, but I'm sure they could find something niche or cult classic-y.
Yeah, but this isn't about werewolves. We're going to talk about Angel Baby Killer, our bread and butter, our child, our scrunkle, even. Now, moving on to verse 4, we have which door do you run to? Because in like these couple verses, it started kind of shaping up to be like them entering this house, and it's like too many doors, they're getting lost, the killer's chasing the survivor, and
Mm-hmm.
these doors kind of represent their lives, I guess, like the path they took. And then for the killer, we got by which means will you pursue this mortal? And this was kind of like, what playstyle are you going to be? Like, are you going to be controlling, that is torment? Are you going to be like insidious, stealthy, stuff like that? And the winners for this was pretty cool because for Survivor, we actually got one of the previous options back, which was the Door to Divine Investigator. So that came back. And then for the killer, we got torment. So this was going to be a controlling killer, quote unquote. We didn't really know what controlling meant, but now we do. We're going to get that in a little bit. But yeah, thoughts on Door of the Divine Investigator and Torment?
Well, Torment, we see kind of that shaping up. I mean, with the next phase 2 voting, right? With that stems from the power, but very cool. We already have some killers who have like torment abilities that kind of gradually increase over time. So this is very familiar with what we are, and some of the more interesting killers, I'd say. And then the Divine Investigator coming back is really cool. I didn't realize that they came back, so it's cool to reappear here. Yeah, I'm excited to see where these kind of stem and go forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good that we're getting the Divine Investigator, because like it was in my opinion that I think Endless Mysteries is like, how does that really match with the Angel Killer? But it's like, okay, Divine Investigator, like maybe they were a monk or a priest or something religious. Now we can mix up like who their background was, what their history looks like. I'm so into it. I want to play whatever religious person there is, because I already play Tori so much, and that's
Love your
halfway
cultists / religious
there.
devotees,
or maybe even a character that is not religious and maybe investigating to disprove, but upon investigations they can't disprove, and that maybe that creates an even more a more compelling conflict for that character and just the narrative overall.
The aggressive atheist versus horrors beyond their comprehension. Who wins?
I mean, you look at Indiana Jones, it's clear. Him.
Yeah.
Guy who's like, I don't believe in God, has seen many miracles of God and like actual real world like miracles. He's like, it's just what people believe in.
It's like, nah, I'm good.
So moving on from that one, we got verse 5, the second to last of phase 1, which was, what was your vocation in the old world? So like specifically of the Divine Investigator path, what did they do in the old world before their world kind of got nuked by the killer? And then for the killer's option, it was, how do you deliver your truth? So how do you punish people for, doing whatever they're doing? For Survivor, we got the spiritual scientist. So kind of like what we teased a little earlier, they didn't come out like super religious like Tori. They came out as like a scientist who was just studying this killer. He's like, the fuck are you? What the fuck is that? And then for the killer with the punishing heart, they're specifically like punishing people for sinning. They're like, oh, lust, die. Envy, suffer. Wrath, more like, be gone, because you have no wrath. Be bye. Like, the other options, I don't remember off top of dome, but some of them were like an executioner for, not executor, executioner. There we go, for the killer. And another one for Survivor was like the lonely one, the nomad, which sadly didn't win, and it was going to be the cursed one. So I was like, damn it. Stevie, Bryson, thoughts on that vote?
I think spiritual scientist is super cute, because I just think of all the other lore characters like Vigo and the Observer, and they're pretty much the scientists that we already have in lore. And feeling like we're missing them as survivors just means this is our little clay doll that becomes all of our headcanons that we should just staple our OC onto. Like, this is our Dead by Daylight character who really wants to go exploring.
Yeah, he's just a little guy doing a little adventuring. Let him be.
Spiritual scientist is really cool. I love when fantasy and or sci-fi have very interesting science/magic systems. When it comes to like different universes, like you have, like, it may sound like science and sci-fi, but science is magic in sci-fi and magic is science and fantasy. Like, they're 1-to-1 in each of these
100%.
genres. And this is just a blend of the two, which is really awesome to see. I'm really interested to see how this shapes up in their perks and maybe their lore and even more finer details. But I just love when those types of worlds have unique systems like that. And with the Punishing Heart having those different types of sins that come in later, it's going to pair really nicely, I think.
Little guy.
Little
our
guy.
little survivor, our little divine investigator. There he is. Wow. For our listeners, I made a little clay guy in the time we were discussing that because I
You're really
fidgeted a
fast
lot.
with that. And then you smush him up. Oh my goodness.
Yep, and now
Wow,
he's
dead.
moored.
You are the divine killer.
Be afraid of my. I was gonna spoil the power. We're not gonna talk about that quite yet because we have one more verse in phase 1. Actually, this was the last vote before they took a little break and started the next round, which was I think last month. So for phase 1, verse 6, the big question here, which is very important, I think, for the gameplay of the survivor and killer from like a concept point of view, is what trait defines you? What trait defines what you do next for survivor, and what is the nature of sin? So for the survivor, these were the 4 categories of like altruistic, boldness, objective, and altruism. And what ended up winning was boldness. So this is going to be a very confrontational survivor. They're chasing down the killer. They're going to punch them like David King. Slay. And then for the killer, etc. Yeah. For the killer part, what is the nature of sin? So basically, how does the killer see sin, quote unquote, aka survivors fucking around? It was each sin is unique as the winner. The other options were everyone is going to suffer at the same time. Other survivors sin too much and they get punished, and each sin is unique. And people chose that one because it was the most interesting, because unique is a lot more, like, I don't know how to say it. It's a lot more mentally stimulating, I guess, than everyone suffers at the same time, or if one guy does more, he suffers. Having each one be unique on a case-by-case scenario sounds really interesting, not just from a gameplay point of view, but a concept point of view. So that's kind of why I think it won. And boldness is fun because I like being aggressive sometimes. Stevie, Bryson, thoughts on the final vote of phase 1? Verse 6.
I'm in total agreement. Like, each sin is unique. I just think of that as like you're picking up your own set of lich items, and like everyone's got their own little buffs and debuffs that they're going to have to balance, or the killer has different traps they can set on like different survivors doing different things.
Yeah.
For boldness,
a little bit of a spoiler for the future vote.
Yeah. Like, it just begs more questions about what the future parts look like. But the survivors for boldness, I think about all the other survivors who have boldness like related perks. You know, do something in front of the killer. You know, get a benefit when you're doing something in front of the killer. Jump in front of a locker and get a buff. Like Deception, it's a great perk. Dead Heart, great perk. Troubleshooter, one of my favorite boldness perks. And I think altruism would have been boring. Something like objectives would have been boring. Boldness is one of like the only fun ones when you read off those options.
Especially since by the time we were doing this, we had somewhat recently gotten Orella, who, even though it had like one, I'd say, a boldness perk, which is her protection hit one, the other 2 were very altruistic, very like, I'm going to heal you and then I'm going to distract the killer. So having another altruistic survivor in this future would have been kind of like meh. So boldness, it sounds really interesting because it would be really nice to see how modern Dead by Daylight does that, where a character is entirely devoted instead of somewhat devoted.
Yeah, you both bring up great points in terms of boldness being by far the most interesting and engaging perks in game. Like you mentioned, Dead Hard or Head On, like all those perks are fun to use and aren't necessarily they're not necessarily good. I mean, they can be good. There are bolt like Dead Art is good, but like but Head On is fun. Like Head On is good. It's very situational, but these are perks that are rewarding to use, and they're engaging to use, and they create new gameplay opportunities for survivors and even killers. Like if survivors make a mistake, the killer can capitalize on those things. And when it comes to each sin being unique, the killer and survivors themselves they have more initiative in terms of how these sins are distributed, right? Like if it is something that the survivors are doing themselves, they have that choice. It's like, okay, I know I'm going to get a sin if I do this. You have that initiative and you take that risk of doing those things. And so I think that encourages even more unique gameplay, which I think DbD needs, because I think killer powers for the most part have been kind of meh for the past couple years. So this could be really interesting.
Yes. Alrighty. So with that verse, aka verse 6 done, phase 1 concluded, and that was our first round of voting. We kind of got like the conceptual phase done. And for phase 2, we're going to get more into the nitty gritty, specifically looking at something a little controversial. But before we get to that one, which was verse 2, phase 2, we're going to look at phase 2, verse 1, which we had a little part of a live stream dedicated to. But before that, we obviously got to vote, and then we got to see the results, that being the active power for the killer. So this was, or the power in general for the killers. That would be the active power, aka what you're actively pressing the button to do. A how does one gain sin category, how does sin accumulate, and how do you punish survivors? So starting off with the active power, the options were a Ray of Retribution, Punishing Smite, or Desolation Zone. To very simplify it, Ray of Retribution, you just straight up shoot a laser beam. Punishing Smite, you shoot out a Artist Crow / Cenobite Chain combo wombo. And for Desolation Zone, it's like a Cenobite Chain, but it has an AoE once it lands. So you gotta like throw the weapon, it makes an area of effect for Desolation Zone. Punishing Smite, you throw a weapon, they gotta control the path of the weapon. And then Ray of Retribution, you laser beam. Would you guys be surprised if I said the laser beam won?
Yeah, projectiles are pretty popular in DbD.
Yeah, so we got our well, it's kind of a projectile because it's kind of like
sort of, yeah.
From the sound of it, it sounds kind of like a Sojourn right click. If anyone knows what that is, from Overwatch,
right click?
Sojourn.
A Sojourn right click. She has a rail gun, and if you get enough charge, you can get a rail shot. That's kind of what I'm thinking when I hear Ray, but like maybe slower. So it's like kind of like boom. This is gonna be another. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say this is gonna be another nerdy reference. It's gonna be like those blasters from the Sans boss fight from Undertale, or like laser beams. That's how I'm imagining it.
Do we think it'll be like the beam has to be on the survivor for a certain amount of time to injure them, or like do you think it'll be instantaneously? Like, do you have to hold it on them?
Yeah, we don't know.
Of course, we're not sure. I'm sure that'd be voted on, but
yeah.
Be interesting to see.
Is it just going to be like you have to be infected and then it'll damage, or like it does a little bit of infection if you're not damaged?
Yeah, it's like reverse healing. You're like taking away.
But they'll get a beam weapon,
anti-sin,
which I like.
Yeah, we'll be talking about actually next for the how does one gain sin. One of the options is the when you use your power, it affects them. There's Foul Ambition, which is chosen based on player progression. So this is how you gain sin. So that would be like 4 hooks, doing generators. That would be Foul Ambition. That would be how you get sin. For Predestination, that would be chosen at the start of the trial. So survivors at the start of a trial would gain like a certain sin unique to them, like Cowardice. You periodically scream. And then the final one, which is the one I voted for, Blasphemous Acts. Sins are chosen by transgressions committed in the trial. So that's kind of more unique. So like hooking a survivor, performing a specific action as survivor, etc., etc. And lo and behold, that one won because, in my opinion, I feel like Foul Ambition kind of felt like it was going to be string tied to specific things. Predestination felt kind of boring, I guess. Like the idea is cool, but the actual implementation of it happens at the start kind of would make it boring. This one, Blasphemous Acts, sounds the most fun.
It sounds like a very this like in my head the clearest as like you're the first one hooked, you get a debuff. That's different than the debuff for the person who gets the first unhook, and it's also different from the debuff that the person who gets the first generator done. So like if doing an action gets you a little debuff to like help the killer stop you from doing that again, or it builds up like Onryo tokens every time you open a chest, and every time you open a gen to like 25%, you get a little token, and you have to go drop those off somewhere and like get rid of them, or else you get a full sin, or you get 1 sin at a time, or 8 sins. I think this one works best because it's like action based.
Yes. Bryson, any thoughts on that before we move on to the next
No,
part?
other than like this is just I like this one the most as well. Blast effects are cool. Like I mentioned earlier, it gives survivors more opportunities for like gameplay opportunities that they know they're taking on. Like it's not gonna be, it won't be random like the beginning, like Foul Ambition. Like you're not running up to a chest to interact with it to get a random item against Vecna and stuff. Like it is going to be, you know what you're doing at the beginning, and you know what's going to happen when you do that action.
Yeah. So that was how does one gain sin. Now this is the one I messed up earlier. This is how does sin accumulate. So how do you get them more sin? This is the one I was referencing to the active power. So that would be the Pain of Wrath. So hitting people with your power. So laser beaming. Pain of Inevitability, which will accumulate over time. And they compare this to a Freddy Sleep or Pain of Artifacts, which is like the legendary Lich items. Guys, what do you think won this category? Is it the boring overtime effect, the boring I hate you with my power effect, or the cool fucking weapon artifacts? It was the cool weapon artifacts.
Yeah,
so,
I hope so.
The Pain of Artifacts was the winner for this, and I voted for that one too because I thought the idea of getting like Lich artifacts that give survivors an upgrade, but they slowly gain sin sounds really fun because I love the legendary items on Vecna. Everyone loves them, so to see that was just yes. Sorry, Bison CV thoughts.
I'll just say this one is cool. I think the most enjoyable killers have interactables. So Onryo, Xenomorph, maybe not Plague, but that's more of a solo queue problem, I think.
Yeah.
Or just a random. It's hard to coordinate against her.
Yeah.
But I think those killers have the most enjoyable powers, and I think that's really fun. And we see new gameplay opportunities there as well with, you know, Vecna's items giving you buffs in certain areas, like when he flies you can see his aura, or with Springtrap you can traverse the map as well. Yes, there's a risk there, but there's a risk also with using Vecna's kind of legendary items. So
yes, because you can get
trade off for sure. So
yes.
very cool.
Yes, Stevie, thoughts?
I like that. I like that way of thinking of it. Like when I think of the teleporting mechanics, and I think of like different mechanics that killers share, picking up items is one that we see only a couple times, and this killer might be shaping up to be similar to those times because of this fact. I think they'll be very similar to like close to like a pinhead box where you want to pick up the box to get rid of a buff or get rid of a debuff and like give your team another chance for a few more minutes. But I think will be closer to like everyone needs to go pick up their item themselves, and it's a specific item based off your sin, and it gives you a specific buff like a Vecna item. I want it to be all these things in like one neatly wrapped package.
And in addition to that, like you have killers like Singularity, where you have like secondary, or Onryo as well. You have secondary objectives to do as a killer, or even Pig. Like you have this trap on your head. It's counting out. You need to get it off, or you're dead. Like there's other objectives with these killers.
And fair to say, those are some of the funnest to go against.
Absolutely,
just naming like the CB tier killers that just go hard. The CBT killers, I must say.
And with survivors wanting more gameplay opportunities, why not bring them in with killer powers, right? So that's a prime opportunity for that.
So that was the second to last one for verse 1 phase 2. The final one, though, this one was probably the most unanimously decided victor for this category. That was how do you punish survivors. That would be relentless suffering. So that would be punished until repentance. So you punish the survivors until they do something. That would be similar to Doctor stepping out of madness tier 3, or cleansing at fountains as against the plague. Merciless might, where sinners feel your need for giving retribution. So you would kind of like level up during the trial. So like Think like the shape stalking or the nemesis hitting you with his tentacle multiple times to get to tier 3. And then the last one, which again, the unanimous winner, everyone was like, that's the one, Hopeless Exile, where sinners are banished to another realm filled with challenges. And this was compared to the Void Realm during the Halloween event. And no surprises, that one won. Because let's be honest, we don't have a killer like that. We don't have a killer that sends you to another realm for a drink like that. That sounds really cool.
Like, I want to put them in the box. I want to take a survivor who's been naughty and put them in the box for everyone to know.
It's like playing with your dollies, right? Like you're throwing them into the dollhouse. It's like you're in trouble. Like you're gonna sit in that corner and you're gonna take this punishment. So yeah, it's really cool. Very, like you mentioned, similar to the Halloween event where you go into this other realm. It would be cool if maybe there are like secondary objectives in, that's where you have your secondary objectives.
I mean,
or maybe there's a unique Mori there. That'd be kind of cool.
I mean,
they can do a lot of things.
It was mentioned in the description that there would be dangers, quote unquote, in there. So maybe you have to like dodge like flame pillars from Dracula, but like reskinned, or maybe you have to dodge like hatchets or something.
Yeah, or maybe you got to do like a puzzle to get out or something, like something kind of unique and different.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of my hopes for this is that this killer is going to be don't teabag at the exit gate killers, because if they're getting sin slowly, maybe they're at the exit gate not paying attention, and they're like teabagging, and then they get sent to hell, and then they're like, fuck,
it's like, oh shit, another just leave moment. That'd be cool.
Just leave. Exactly.
I want to see something fun where it's like you have somebody get max sin, and then you run over and down them, and then you get a different prompt. You send them through the ground like Pyramid Head, and then they just show up in like the torment dimension.
Bye, Jill. Have fun in hell.
This killer will have great sights to show you, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Oh wait, that's
they feel angelic, like how the Cenobite is supposed to be.
We don't have the bites anymore.
Yeah,
but
it's crazy
we can
how parallel they are. Yeah.
Honestly, it kind of gives the same vibe because like Pinhead is canonically from hell, so the Divine Killer being from heaven it fits. It fits. It makes me question if the killer is going to be kinky, but let's wait and see.
Oh, I'm sure the
definitely
DVD
already. This is already shaping up to be.
I mean, have you seen the silhouettes, Maddie?
We're talking about that. We're going to talk about that.
Not yet.
However, we need to talk about our final thoughts before we move on to the next section, which is probably going to be a majority of this episode, because this is probably the most controversial / important besides the first actual vote, which was like what we want the concepts to be. So, any final thoughts before we move on to the big vote? Verse 2, phase 2.
Nope.
I've shared all I feel.
All right.
Bring it on, Maddie.
So for our listeners and viewers at home, phase 2 was the second round. Verse 1 was the first batch, and now we're on the second batch, which was very recently. It was last weekend, and that was what the survivor and killer are actually going to look like. Now, since this is a podcast, we can't exactly stream it, but I am going to try, because what am I, guys? Let's hear it. What am I?
You are
amazing.
Yep. Keep
you're the best. You're resourceful. Yes. You're considerate. You're wonderful.
A podcast wizard.
Thank you. All true. So that's why I'm going to show you the actual Grimoire page for survivors and killers, and we're going to tell you guys what it looks like. So we're going to start with the killer options. So for phase 2, verse 2, we had 3 options of what the killer was going to look like. We had the typical angel aesthetic, like biblically accurate, where they've got 4 wings, but a little bit of a twist. They got tendrils and eyeballs on their leg, and their head doesn't seem quite human, but their torso seems masculine and normal. Though I should say, even though it looks masculine and feminine for the other 2, they did specifically say that the gender, for example, won't be decided in this one. This is just the silhouette, so like the rough outline. But it is kind of important to note that in the file names, this one is specifically called masculine. For the second one, which was kind of codenamed as feminine, this one has a slimmer form with 2 wings at top and like 2 shorter wings at the bottom with spider legs, kind of like no legs, like human legs. And they have a little halo and a normal head.
To me, felt more like crustacean claws.
Yeah, like crustacean-y.
Like a crab legs.
Very entity-esque, like.
The survivor, like, for comparison, is like around their torso chest. And then probably the most weird option for the killer was a giant fucking head, two big claw hands, and a bunch of little grabby hands as legs.
And the hands like are floating next to it, so it's almost like kind of like an artifact golem kind of thing.
Yeah,
going
it's
on.
very biblical, how I would say. Like the other two have biblical elements. This one's probably the most biblical. People compare it to a cherubim. So I was like, that's kind of peak. I'm not a big fan of it because it doesn't scream divine for me. So
But it's
I didn't
literally
Yeah.
screaming with its mouth open in the silhouette.
It is.
yeah, it's like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
angry.
It feels a lot
Very
like
spooky.
the Wind Waker boss Goma, like the big head with two hands.
Yeah.
It feels very much like Andross, the other Nintendo boss from Star Fox. It feels
It
a lot
reminds
like
me of
all those
another Nintendo
bosses.
boss, the one from Mario Odyssey, like the giant stone head with
Yep.
the two hands. But yeah, those were our three options. So we had like a spider, kind of like short winged angel, a very big winged angel with a weird head and tendrils, and then the giant ass head. For this one, I feel like it's kind of a toss up between the two actual quote unquote angels. The big head sadly doesn't seem like it's gonna win, just because it doesn't feel divine enough, I think, in the community reception. But the other two are pretty neck and neck. Well, if I had to pick one, it's probably gonna be the non-crustacean like one, aka the one with the weird head, but not a head. Bryson CV, thoughts on this one?
I want the crab one to win so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if I would have put money down on it, that one would win. The crustacean spider like lady looking angel. But I think I was in the subreddit a lot this weekend, and I saw post after post after post of people rooting for all three of these. Like I saw several head ones. I saw even in our Discord, like a lot of people were having our discussion there. Like some people were rooting for the head form. Other people were rooting for the other two. I think, Maddie, you mentioned, I obviously like the crustacean. I think the big head is a little goofy for me. I love that it kind of went out there. I really like that. I just think with the divine, we need wings. Like I think wings
Yeah, you
is
need
just
the wings.
it's kind of a must with kind of divine. I feel like that's a core pillar there. But Maddie mentioned earlier this kind of us deciding the gender, if you will, down the line. I don't want this killer to have a gender. I think it being divine goes beyond that concept of gender. Like maybe that's controversial. I don't know, but I just don't think this being should be defined within human, social constructs that is gender. If you disagree with me, that's fine, listeners. I don't care, but like I just feel like that's just so.
Yeah,
That's such a simple way of thinking about it. Like this is a being. This is not a person.
Yeah.
So their identity goes beyond what we see. But I digress there.
Yeah. Potential agender what's the word? Agender. There's never a word. I was gonna do alliteration. Never mind. Ignore me.
Abhorrent. I don't know. Abject. I don't know these 8 words you're looking for.
No, that would be agnostic.
Aberration.
Aberration.
Was
yes,
that it?
Agender, aberration, anonymity.
There we go.
Anonymity, anonymous, and I don't know.
Anomaly.
Okay.
Sorry,
we're working on it. Well, this is just we're at the source.
When
now,
I looked at the silhouettes, I just thought of like, how would they be moving, right? If I put this silhouette in motion in my head, like 2 of them just kind of float forward and just kind of hover and maybe swing around a little bit. But the only one in my head that moves around and has a lot of moving parts, like those claws definitely bounce up and down and skitter, and probably the wings flap as well. I see there being a lot more interesting stuff going on with the crabby one. Like
with that one too, I would imagine, because it doesn't quite look like they're attached. Maybe they're similar to the floating head, the big head with its hands just floating next to it. The claws or the legs are also kind of floating ahead, but they're still drawing it forward, and they're still making contact with window vaults and pallets and gins. Like the motion is really cool to think about, and also kind of worries me in terms of if that one wins, how that's going to be a challenge for their kind of rigging department, because they've mentioned in the past they have not done a whole lot of non-humanoid shaped characters because they just didn't have the technology or the skill or the experience to do that. That's changed over the years with, Xenomorph now, and we've gotten
The
dredged a little bit,
Houndmaster
like
dog, for
yeah,
example.
Handmaster Dog. So we've gotten a little bit more rigging, but it's still not quite there yet. And so I'm really interested to see how they adapt this and how it'll move in game.
Yes. Yes. But just so the listeners and viewers can know, we don't have the results yet, so we can't say who won,
Yeah.
sadly. We can just talk about who we want to win. And you can actually see on my screen the red outline of who I voted for. So yeah, you can
Well, your vote
judge
is wrong, Maddie. I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Before we move on, though, I just want to quote. I want to say something really quick about the big floating head on the left. He kind of reminds me of the Kane Pixels Rolling Giant. I don't know how many of you guys saw that short, but he gives off
No idea.
Rolling Giant vibes.
A lot of people are saying he would be a
that
cool
horror
cool
film
dredge skin.
thing where it's like
Yes.
the whole rolling giant thing was rendered
Yes.
in like Blender, which is so impressive to
Exactly.
me.
It was so
Oh, that's cool.
Like
so
they
amazing.
they
Very
modeled like an
skilled
entire
design.
empty mall, and plus they're like, oh, if you look it up, it's just like it's supposed to be like a scary art project that's like in an
Yeah.
abandoned mall.
Yeah, that's your homework tonight. Go watch
Amazing.
it, Bryson. It's like
I will go see that.
it's kind
Rolling
of long,
giant
but it's
is
worth it. Really good short
creepy.
Okay, I'll check it out.
horror film short thing.
But I get that vibe too with like the hands and the like cloak and the head, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we're gonna move on from Mr. Headboy and the Angel Baddies, and we're gonna look at probably the more controversial one, the
Ah,
Survivor face. So
Yeah.
this is
so
what the survivors
controversial.
actually
People
gonna
Holy
look
love
like.
shit!
this one.
This one I will say is probably the most decisive because I feel like everyone has a say in one, except for one. But I have a reason to believe they're as equally as up there. But we'll get into that in a second. So for our listeners, viewers, we have 4 options. We have this sort of young woman with black, blue highlight hair and heterochromia, very pretty. Our second option is this old elderly woman with a scar, and she looks very serious. Our third option was the somewhat younger man, but still pretty up there in age.
The
Also
ginger.
heterochromia, ginger facial hair. And our last option was an elderly man, black, and he also has heterochromia. And those were kind of our options. And I did have a little bit of a bias because I kind of pick survivors. Like if I were to vote for stars, I picked the ones that we have the least to get more representation. So I did end up choosing the old lady because our oldest lady, quote unquote, is Jane, and she's like 30, 40. And you look at her, you do not think she's 30, 40. You think maybe like early 30s, maybe, but her ass is not 40. I want an old ass woman. We have an old ass man. I want an old ass woman. But yeah, this one's a very decisive vote because I've seen everyone vote for all of them. For me, it's also pretty close. Like I was so close to picking the black guy because I feel like he looks super cool, and also not gonna lie, he's kind of hot.
No,
Yeah, he is.
I picked him because I was like, I hope his voice in game is like super grizzled or like.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just
Yeah.
picturing listening to these characters in game, and I'm like, I want the bearded man. I want him.
Yes.
I want the old guy.
Yeah, all of them are really good, and I feel like this is the most decisive because everyone has like, please vote for this one. Like, I thought no one's gonna pick the ginger guy. There's a strong fan base who want the ginger guy. I
Yeah,
didn't
there
think
is.
the pretty girl because everyone was saying online like, oh, we don't need another pretty girl. We don't need another pretty girl. And though I haven't seen a lot of posts saying vote for her, I know the silent majority is the silent majority. Their ass wants a hot girl baddie, kind of goth
Well,
baddie.
also a bit of controversy just in terms of how they presented this. So there are
Ooh.
2 pages to the book, right? For the survivor side, you have to flip or you have to scroll or whatever. So and so it is the young purple-haired or whatever colored hair girl, and then is it the black gentleman next to her?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
the
the
other
bearded
gentleman?
guy. He's
And then
Yeah,
the
so-
first
guy
2,
was
and then
at
you have
the
to
end.
scroll down to see the other 2.
Yeah.
Right. So apparently someone did some digging in the code, and the young woman was supposed to be Survivor 3 before the vote started, but then they moved it to the first page. So a lot of people, they kind of rigged the vote a little bit because they don't know if they'll be able to sell the character as well. I believe some of that. It sucks that we have that. I will say with our vote, the very first vote, they come from a collapsed world. this woman does not look like she came from a collapsed world. She looks like
Mhm.
she came off the runway out of France or something. Like, she doesn't look anything like that.
Yeah,
I
I
am
will
total.
say,
Go ahead. Sorry.
she is giving the vibe of the protagonist from a young YA dystopian novel,
Yes.
like The Hunger
Yes.
Games
Yeah,
or
give me a
Divergent.
Katniss Everdeen or whatever, beautiful, but like in a struggling world, and your
Yeah.
family's kind of in the trenches.
Yeah.
All these are great. All these people are attractive as well.
Mhm,
If you don't think all
mhm,
these people are attractive, I think you're
mhm.
crazy, or we have
They're
different
all
tastes, I guess. But
beautiful. Like,
I mean, they're
and the
just
fact that they
stunning
draw them
people.
all
Like,
naked, basically from the shoulders up,
yeah,
like they're
like
just not wearing clothes beneath that. My mind has to wander.
Yeah.
I was torn between. I'll just kind of dive into my vote personally. I was torn between the older lady and the older gentleman.
Mhm.
Oh, big time. Those are the only two worth
Yeah,
considering as
I
like
definitely
scientist, spiritual investigator.
Yeah, I definitely recognize we don't have an older woman in our ranks of original survivors or even licensed survivors. That's a kind of a demographic we don't have represented.
I've heard some people headcanon, I shouldn't say headcanon Yunjin as like 50, but like I need to look
Okay.
into that. I need to,
Is it
because I don't know how
interesting?
old she is, and I've heard some people say she's
Yeah.
supposed to be the oldest female survivor.
I mean, I kind of get it. She just does not look 50. Her
No,
aspect
she looks
not
great.
look 50.
So like,
Yeah, interesting. I don't know of any legendaries either that may be older. I don't think we have any
like
that
how
are
old is
the older
Rose
people.
canonically in Alan Wake when she shows up?
Yeah, she's about the same age as Alan, which would be 30s or 40s. So,
Yeah.
middle age probably. So, not old. But
Yeah.
I ultimately came down to my decision to vote for the Black Gentleman because we have not had an original male survivor since Gabriel Soma,
It's true.
Which was like 3
It's
years
true.
ago.
which
Yeah, that's so
which
fair.
was 3 years ago, 23, I think that was the anniversary chapter there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I know some people are like, oh, we have all these other male survivors that are licensed.
We got Alan Wake, we got
Yes.
Nick Cage, we got
Rick Grimes. Like,
it's not
I totally
same.
get that, but like there's so much more not more potential. There's more potential in any original Carol survivor in terms of they can tell lore. All these have potential, but we just don't have any. And I think Gabriel Soma's lore is just fine. He's a clone, cool, but like I just feel like there's like all those characters have cool lore, even Alan Wake. But like I love the lore potential of an original survivor, but then making it a male survivor, I think would be really cool because we've not had it forever. But I was very torn. Like I said, it was a 50-50 for me. I went with my gut. If I had to vote again, I would probably go for the older lady. But yeah, all of these votes were great. I really hope one of those. And then even in addition to that, I hope a lot of people are saying, can we get a Legion vibe going? Ooh. Can we get all four of these?
Yes.
Or could we get the two older folks? Can we make them like an Astari D&D survivor kind of? Yeah, like that would be cool too. We'll see what happens when the results shake out. But yeah, I was really, really torn by my vote.
Yeah. Like the first vote, like the first ever vote for the Grimoire, this one is probably the most
this is
decisive.
Hard.
Just and because they're all good. Like, I'm being honest, they're all good. I'd be happy with any of them, even the hot generic girl. Because I'm gonna be honest, I like hot generic girls.
I'd be most disappointed by the ginger guy winning. All the other three I could live with. I feel like ginger guy has to be like, he has to be part of some like Night Order occult thing for me to care about him. If he's another Felix, I'll be like, ugh.
Yeah. So far we know that he's, or they, because it could be any of them, is a divine scientist, loner, kind of went there, I'm going to do my own thing. And that's about it. We don't have a personality because that's going to be an upcoming vote, which we're going to be looking at the roadmap very quickly. But before we wrap up the latest vote, any final thoughts?
Oh, man.
I'm so curious how this shakes up.
Yeah, me too. I really kind of hope they do the dual survivor. I don't think they will, but it'd be kind of cool if they did.
Yeah.
I was really torn by my vote, and I don't know. I'm kind of regretting my vote a little bit now that we're talking about it and I'm thinking it. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but the older lady would be sick, but all these characters would be cool. But the two older folks would were great picks.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's the end of the streaming part of the screen. Sorry, ladies. Now we're going to be talking about the roadmap because they posted this a little shortly. They posted this shortly after the stream with the two decisions of the survivor and the killer silhouette. So that was January 24th where we decided the killer silhouette and survivor face. January 30th, so in 2 days to you listeners and viewers, we're going to be deciding the killer material. So like what their skin is going to be like. Is it fleshy, feathery, stony? And the survivor mood board, which is kind of gonna like decide the personality. Like, is the survivor gonna be kind? Are they gonna be mean, stern? Are they gonna be cautious, silent? Or are they gonna be empathetic? Kind of stuff like that. Which probably means we're gonna be figuring out the winners in a day from the posting of this video.
Yeah, watch. They'll probably announce it tomorrow once we've posted and talked about our thoughts.
Yeah, there's no way for us to expect
it.
it.
Like, oh, we hope the ginger guy doesn't win and then he wins or something.
If he wins, I'd be shocked. I would really be shocked.
Because, like, even though I see people voting for him, I don't think there's enough people. Like, if you like him, slay. I just don't think there's enough of y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Ooh.
What if the votes are just split 25%, 25%, 25%?
Yes.
Mind
Then
blowing.
we do a Legion situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
In February 19th, the day before my birthday, because I'm so spoiled,
Heyo.
I'm voting for 5 things. Killer final concept, survivor final concept, the killer name, survivor name, and the chapter name. So this is going to be like the final visuals, the final who are they choices. And then in sometime in March, we're going to be choosing 2 more things, the killer more, which I didn't think we were going to be choosing, and the chapter logo. Ladies, thoughts on that?
Ooh, I am so fucking ready for this next month. It is a lot of shit lined up that is it's gonna blow my mind to see what they want to pull together for mood boards and stuff, because this to me feels like, you know, those website quizzes that just have random stuff that's like, oh, which character are you from this show? And you just fill it
Are
out.
you like dark academia, brooding? Are you like Hello Kitty aesthetic?
Exactly.
It's
That's
like a
what I
BuzzFeed
think of.
quiz.
It's like January 45th, pick the killer's Tumblr page out of 5.
Yeah.
Oh my god, please let us choose part of the mood board be like social media fanatic, and we can give like one of the 2 older people like an Instagram page, and they're like, hi besties, I'm at the end of the world, hashtag workday ruined, hashtag busy Mondays.
It's like the phone camera inside the front seat of a car, and it's just the old guy with the beard looking down at his phone like, well, the rapture happened and I'm still here. Who up?
Well, that just happened.
The February 19th round of votings, that's gonna be I was excited for this chapter. You know, the Grimoire was cool. The earlier votes I was just like, I was kind of lukewarm on them, but now that we're starting to get visuals, I'm really starting to get excited and seeing how this shapes out. Killer material is really an interesting kind of vote. Like, okay, so what is this killer going to be made of? We're going to see textures. I'm really intrigued by that. I'm sure they're going to come up with some unique things there. And the chapter name is going to be cool. I'm sure a lot of folks are going to have ideas for that, but I'm interested to see what they come up with.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this a lot. I like the way this is going. At first, I was like a little sad because we didn't get the werewolf, but I'm really happy how this is turning out. It's really interesting how this is all kind of starting to form, and not gonna lie, I am looking forward to this vote being like the big final vote being like 1 day before my birthday. It makes me feel like spoiled, like it's an early birthday present.
No, right? You're gonna get to wait and be like, oh, I missed it, but it's my birthday. I get the little birthday present from
It's
behavior.
like a little birthday treat. I will say, the killer material survivor mood board is also probably going to be very important, just because it's going to kind of, for me at least, dictate if I like the killer, or not the killer, the survivor. Because like, if like, let's say the old lady wins, slay, and then her personality is like, she hates everyone, she will literally kill you to get ahead. I'd be like, slay, not for me. I want someone who's empathetic because that's who I
So
like.
you don't want
I
someone
like
like Tori.
no. Like all my Tory lovers, I love you. I want to play someone that's sacrificial. Like I want to play someone like Orella. Okay, I don't like the bad vibes. I like the good vibes.
How dare you?
Aw.
How dare
I'm
you?
sorry. I'm not saying you're a bad person if you play Tori. That's not what I'm saying.
No, you're
Aw.
you.
No, I want the old lady to win so we can have like the fake Jamie Lee Curtis that she is right now, and like the old Jamie Lee Curtis, and then the young
Yeah,
Jamie Lee
that's a good
Curtis
point.
as Laurie Strode.
We never did get an old Lori.
Yeah.
Lori.
She could be like,
yeah.
you have to stop the shape of a monster. And then Laurie's gonna turn around and be like, say that again.
It's
like,
100%.
is that the
It's
shape?
uncanny.
Mhm. But yes, that is all we have about our little beautiful thing called the Grimoire. It's really shaping up to be a really fun chapter, especially with the power for the killer. It's really fun. I love everything that we have so far because everything I voted for the power wise won. And the survivor, they could literally turn out to be like the most dogshit perks ever created, and I would still like them visually. Because the 4 concepts we've done so far, I love them all. I would be happy with any of them in the game. And I'm just really excited to see who we get. So, ooh, that's my thoughts. Stevie Bryson, final thoughts on the Grimoire so far?
I'm so here for it. Grimoire Killer
Yes.
might be my main if they're decent. Same with the Survivor. But I gotta wait probably a year and a half for that to come out. We're still
Maybe
on
not
just
a
the
year and a
voting.
half.
I
I'm
think a
thinking
year
like
and a half.
a year max.
I think a year and a half.
Wow, that's what I want to mention because I'm looking at this roadmap, and so February 19th we're finishing up, the final concepts, the names, and then the chapter name, and then in March we're gonna have the Mori and the chapter logo. This sounds like it might be coming later this year. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Because are they going to are the Killer Moris going to be rough rigs for that? Are they going to be, rough animations? I'm curious what that are. They just storyboards? I'm
Probably
interested to see.
storyboards if I had to guess.
Yeah, that'd be my guess too, or maybe just like a description. Probably had some visual elements though, but like
Yeah.
we're getting that in March, and the anniversary is in June. So I don't know. I think we're gonna get this year. Like I'm thinking like fall of this year.
That I would agree with that. Yeah, like near the end of the year, maybe December.
Yeah, and I guess this is just the roadmap for Q1. I'm assuming we're gonna be, unless the concepts are going to include the perks, but aren't we going to be voting for perks as well? So I don't know what that is going to entail.
I think you're gonna vote. We're gonna vote on the perks in March as well.
Yes,
Oh, okay,
they did
cool.
update that recently. I couldn't find it. I was like struggling before the start of the episode. I'm like, where the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. But they are going
Okay.
to be including killer perks in March. Thank you, Steve, for mentioning that. That almost
Awesome.
hit my head.
Good to know. Yeah, so I'm thinking we see this chapter this year, but I'm not. I don't know. Maybe we'll put money on it. We'll take
I
bets.
still think we'll have a little long while to wait. I think it'll be at least a year.
I think one of the perks options for the survivor is going to be like a weapon of some kind that you can attack the killer with, and everyone's going to vote for it. Mark my words, that's going to happen.
Ooh,
like an offensive head-on. You don't need a locker. You just run at them and then pew pew, or like bam bam.
Give me a trip mine or something. That'd be cool.
Like a trip mine. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see because they are the boldness survivor. That's like their thing. Yeah.
Install a bear trap on the ground after being in the killer's turret
for 10 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah. If your survivor friends step into it, they die instantly. So be careful.
Body block someone in and then trap them. You see them jump in a locker and you trap their
That's
exit.
so evil. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So not to do
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Well, that is all we have for you this week, folks. Don't forget to join our Discord or send us an email at redsingradio@gmail.com. Drop us a review on Spotify or Apple and share the podcast with someone. That could be a friend or foe or a divine entity that's haunting you in your bedroom. Additionally, please do the jot form in the description to have a chance at winning a $100 gift card of a gaming platform of your choice. We want to hear your feedback and we want to give back, so please do it. And I will personally blow you a kiss.
And if you listen to this episode all the way through and you haven't filled out the $100 drop form link and it's still January, please.
What are you doing?
You deserve to get paid for listening.
Yeah.
Please.
Exactly. What are you doing? Get in there.
Pull over. Put down the weight to the gym. Whatever you're doing. Put that pasta sauce away.
Tell the 7 women to,
away.
hey,
Put
chill
that
out real
game you're
quick.
playing
Stop
away.
climbing on me. I got a pause this podcast and fill out their. So we know all of y'all are like that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you, Stevie and Bryson. Thank you, listeners and viewers, and we'll see you in the fog next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Maddie.
Goodbye.
Everyone.
Goodbye.